There weren't many. There weren't many when I played. You could probably count them on one hand, or the black players that played when I played. My mother said, "Sticks and stones and break your bones, and names will never hurt you." I'm honoured to be the first, and I hope it inspires other people of colour.
So, Mr. Horne, my name's Nedum. It's an absolute privilege to be across from you. And if possible, I'd like to ask you a few questions, learn about your life, your career. And, given the fact it's Black History Month, it seems a perfect time to really get into that. Are you okay with that?
I'm fine with that, yeah. Can I just take a minute, though, just to say one of our former players and the chairman of our former Players Society passed away a few days ago. And I'd just like to send, on behalf of the association,
Absolutely.
our condolences to friends and family and all those who knew him.
That's Francis Lee, isn't it?
Francis Lee.
And that's a former teammate of yours, isn't it?
Former teammate, yeah. I was at City when he joined from Bolton.
Did you think he'd be any good?
No, too slow.
Funny how things work out, isn't it?
Yeah, no, he was something else. Absolute dynamite, powerful for his size.
Yeah. And what would he say about you, do you think?
I like to think that all the players that played with me in the team thought that I gave my all, 100%. I wasn't a ball playing player. I like to win the ball and give it to the players who could play. Joe Mercer used to say, just win the ball and give it to Summerby or give it to Colin Bell. Let them get on with it. And that was my job.
Those aren't too bad players to give the ball to.
Well, that's right. And it usually ended up in the back of their net. So
yeah, exactly.
And
was it Joe that gave you your debut?
It was, yeah.
So before we get to that,
right.
Can we go back a bit further?
Of course you can, yeah.
So as a child, I think these days most people aspire to be a professional footballer, but obviously things were different when you were younger.
Yeah.
Did you have those aspirations to make it as a professional?
From when I could walk, I think football was the main interest. My elder brother, he played for Oxford Boys, and he did quite well. I think he could have done better, but his interest was cricket. He was a good cricketer.
Okay.
He wasn't that interested in making a living at football, so he left that one to me.
Yeah, it seems like you did pretty well overall.
Well, yeah. I mean, I had a lot of luck on the way, so...
you do need that.
You do need luck.
You
do.
Need that.
Yeah.
And speaking of the luck that was involved, obviously this is a different time when you're first coming through. And you have the dream and the aspiration to be a professional footballer. How difficult was it to sort of take those first few steps, especially given the fact that these days representation is more out there. But what was it like when, say, maybe you're the first in most spaces that you end up in? I
started off playing, obviously, at school. And I think I realised then I had something a bit more special than the other lads who were playing in the playground.
Did they realise that as well?
They probably did, yeah. After I'd nutmegged them a few times. They knew that I was quite skilled at the game.
And I think, was it your debut for Swindon? Was that the first place, or where was it?
For City?
No, your debut.
My debut I was at Aston Villa first of all.
Yeah.
With Joe Mercer, who came up to City, but it was a good introduction, and Joe was a fabulous manager.
What was so good about him?
Understanding people, I think, and obviously knowing the game. Having played for Arsenal and Everton, England. He just knew the game inside out. He gave wonderful advice, especially to me. I joined City halfway through the season. They won the second division.
Yeah.
65, 66. And then the next year, when I played most of my games, we consolidated in the first division. Although I wasn't that skilled, players around me were, and it was fabulous seeing the fruits of their labour, or my labour, or whatever.
Yeah, and also with that, what was the environment like off the field? Because you mentioned, having some issues to start with at Villa. Was it the same thing at City, or was it more welcoming as time went by?
Oh, nothing like it at City. I was welcomed. This is why I'm proud to wear this former player's badge. It was absolutely brilliant. The players were, fabulous. Couldn't do enough It was like that's why I think we won the first division and the second division, because it was a very close knit team, good spirit off the field as well. You know.
We're talking about the mid-60s at a point where you're the first black player to represent Manchester City.
Yeah.
You know, that's not a lifetime ago for many people.
Well.
And to think that you were the first then, but then they were still so welcoming, it is very, very impressive. But then also, as the years went by, did you find that it was easier throughout your career?
There weren't many. There weren't many when I played. You could probably count them on one hand, or the black players that played when I played. My mother said, "Sticks and stones and break your bones, and names will never hurt you."
What would your advice be to, say, somebody that is on the end of that level of, say, racism? Or
It's very difficult, but try and ignore it as best you can, and try and use it as to your advantage. That's what I used to do. If someone had to go at me on the pitch, it would make me more determined to do well.
To swing to something more positive then, I think it was 2021 when you received the winner's medal for the 67-68 season.
Yeah.
How did that make you feel?
Well, I couldn't believe it. He said, "Dad, I think it's going to happen." And we just kept hoping and hoping. And eventually it happened, and I was absolutely delighted. Over the moon.
Over the blue moon.
Over the blue moon, yeah.
There you go. That must have been such an amazing feeling.
It was.
But then also it signifies you being the first black player to win a top flight medal in football.
Well, I didn't realise that. I mean...
Is that because it seems crazy? Or?
It does, yeah. I mean, I would have thought there'd have been players before me who'd won a first division medal, but obviously there hasn't been, so... I'm honoured to be the first, and I hope it inspires other people of colour. I'd like to know, like I started off as a young lad, aspiring to be a footballer. What were your first?
So, I was raised in Manchester. I was raised in Miles Platting, literally, you know, stone's throw from the stadium today. We were the only black family, and we also happened to be a Nigerian black family as well.
Right.
So in terms of being welcomed, it wasn't necessarily that, you know, we were very much our family,
right.
And we didn't really go out into the area as such. But football was the place where I could meet new people alongside school. Yeah. So I love that element as well.
Yeah.
And I was very fortunate then from joining City at the age of 10 to get the chance to ball boy at Main Road when I was 12, 13 years of age. And I'm sure you've probably had the same feeling. When you go and you see professional football, you see that big stadium, you see the energy around the stadium before a match, everybody jumping on the 111 to go across to the stadium. Absolutely amazing.
Part of it.
Yeah, you feel it. And being in the tunnel and seeing the players walking through.
Yeah.
And then to know that when I played the next day, I was wearing the same shirt as the team that I just ball boyed for. There was only ever one thing that I wanted to do. You know, for once you see it and you can see how close it is, I was desperate to do it.
So did you come through as an apprentice?
I did, yes, I did.
Apprentice, doing all the dirty work and...
Well, thankfully,
Oh, you missed that, did
you? Did I miss it? Did I miss it? Yeah.
Did a bit.
Yeah, I did a little bit.
Yeah.
Not as much as other people.
The errands and the...
Yeah, the errands were definitely there. We were grounded, we could say that. But I was fortunate because I made my debut.
It does ground you. You know, if you're doing the hard stuff, you learn how to get into the softer stuff. You don't get rewarded until you've done the hard stuff. When did you make your debut?
It was 2004. I was actually 17. So I was just about to turn 18, yeah.
Well, that's young. That is
exactly.
That is young.
Interestingly for me, so I got the call about my debut while I was still at college. So I was still part of the youth team system and so on, but I had to go to college to finish my A-levels. And then the first squad I was in, I remember I was in college on the Wednesday, I think it was, and I got a call from Les Chapman, the kit man, legendary kit man.
Legendary kit man.
And he's just legendary human in general. He's more than a kit man, obviously. And he's just asking me like, which number do I want? And I was thinking, for what exactly? He said, for the game at the weekend. I said, which game at the weekend? He said, the game against Chelsea.
Right.
I was like, oh. Oof. And he said, don't worry, I'll give you number 16. He gave me number 16. And the very first game I was in the squad for was when City beat Chelsea 1-0 when Jose Mourinho was their manager. Chelsea's only defeat for the whole season.
Right.
So I went from being in college on a Wednesday to being involved in that on a Saturday. But then lo and behold, on Monday, I was still back in college.
Yeah, yeah.
But I truly...
Grounded, back to earth, back down to...
There's something about being grounded that sort of makes you appreciate the game more.
That's right, yeah.
100%.
If you think it's all going to be nice and lovely and no problems, you're gonna come a cropper, aren't you?
For sure.
You have your pitfalls and you get your stumbling blocks, and you have to get over those.
I'd like to ask you two questions, actually. The first one is, which was your favourite memory? And then the second question is, how did you feel when you eventually walked away from the game?
Favourite memory? Well, my favourite memory is getting the First Division medal.
Okay.
Obviously, you know, there's not many of those knocking about, is there? So getting the medal was a brilliant thing. I'd actually won a Second Division medal the season before, but it's nice to get the other
Yeah.
one.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean, yeah.
Yeah, favourite memory. And I played in some nice games that I remember. In fact, I played a game at Everton. We played Everton in the Cup when we were in the Second Division, and they had the Ball and the Kendalls and all the, you know, the real England players. Ray Wilson, right at left back, and we drew at Main Road 0-0. We drew at Everton 0-0. Now in those days you had to go to a neutral ground. We went to Wolves and we lost 2-0. But all the right, there were three of my best games for City.
Okay.
And I still remember and the write-up in one of the papers after the defeat at Wolves was there were two people of class tonight. That was the referee who got the World Cup game, and Stan Horne, who outshone the England left back.
Yes, that's nice.
Yes.
Yes, that's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
As you walked away from the game, how did you feel?
It was. I had during my career, I had a couple of bad injuries. One was at City.
Achilles, was it?
Achilles tendon, yeah, ruptured. It was absolutely horrendous. I finished up playing, I think, at Rochdale, on a muddy pitch and the rain, and it was cold, and I thought, oh, no, I think.
It's time to get back indoors.
It's time to hang the boots up and do something, you know, do something else.
Yeah.
I found something else. I went into the building. Game with an ex-United player, Wilf Tranter. We did that until I retired. So I found something else, but it wasn't quite like playing at Main Road.
Yeah, nothing is it?
No.
I was very lucky. I played there 3 times.
Did you play at Main Road, did you?
Yeah, it was for the first team. It was 2 Youth Cup games and 1 playoff game in the academy. Right. But just the chance to walk out on that field.
Yeah, fabulous pitch. Fabulous pitch. It was proper ground, isn't it?
Yeah.
When I see my former teammates at games now, the only thing we'd like to have done was to be able to play on a pitch that they have now.
It's not bad, is it?
Where it's pristine, and you know. And
see people going around with scissors.
The ball never bobbles up just as you're about to kick it.
Well, speaking from experience, the downside is you lose the excuses. However you perceive being first is how you perceive it, but you are the first. Without you, there wasn't a second. There couldn't be a third. There couldn't be a fourth. And today we see it a lot more. But again, like I say, from the bottom of my heart at the start of the interview, it's a real honour and a privilege to be here sitting alongside you and sharing this badge with you as well.
Sharing the badge, yeah.
And to understand that what you went through, your attitude towards it, because you've said yourself in terms of the high blood pressure and the like, there were probably so many reasons why you should have quit, could have quit.
Yeah, yeah.
But instead...
I've never been a quitter.
Exactly. And because of that, I think that's one of the reasons why I'm here today and so many others.
Well, it's a pleasure for you to say that.
It's an honour to be here with you, my friend. Absolute honour to be here with you.
Thank you very much.